need her again. He laid the little book down and went across to look out of the window at Mrs. Doran's cat on the garden wall. Strange how it had a sort of family resemblance to Mrs. Doran. Must be the mange. The solicitor had not said what his cousin Sir Miles had left him. A mortgage and a few debts, possibly, or perhaps a few little responsibilities to be educated in the path of virtue. He knew nothing about Sir Miles, though he had always known of his existence. Had there been a little something, he wondered? A flat in Paris, or Vienna, or London, or in some other similar painted port of sin. One could not have such luxuries without money, but once one had had them, there might be no more money left. That Miles knew from his experience of accounting, such as it was, and it all went to show how mud sticks, he thought severely. It must have been 40 years since he had overheard his father cast veiled doubts on the morality of his titled cousin. He stuck his head out of the window and saw that a bus was coming up from Donnybrook. His watch was broken, and he had not been able to afford to have it mended, but he had become quite accomplished at telling the time by other means. The sun having reached the hole in the linoleum by the washstand, he knew that it was 11:30. Half a minute later he was standing on the footpath, brushed and smooth, leaning on his silver-banded walking-stick, waiting for the bus. It was far too early when he reached St. Stephen's Green, where the solicitor's office was. He walked into the green among the flowers to pass the time and calm his excitement. He even stole a rosebud for his buttonhole when no one was looking. It was good enough for that rosebud, he thought, as he admired its pert little face nestling against his lapel. It had no business to flower in the middle of May. The air was like wine, vin rosé, drunk in a Paris café, to be precise. The traffic hummed a Strauss waltz in the distance. Miles's heart bounded within him, quite alarmingly. At last all the clocks began to strike 12, tenors, basses, bass baritones, and one or two drawing-room sopranos. When they had finished, decency made him wait for another minute or two before crossing the street to the office. He had marked it well in advance. He fluttered up the steps on airy wings, but in the front office was a clerk who might have been a little sister of Mrs. Doran. She brought him down to earth with a curt, "Well?" He said that he had an appointment with Mr. Byrne. "You're late," she snapped. "I'll find out if he can see you." As she passed through the door marked "Private" in letters of gold, Miles thought how satisfying it would be to hit her an almighty wallop with his walking-stick. But he always suppressed impulses like that, so he leaned firmly on his stick, while he examined an engraving called "His Only Pair," which hung on the wall between a builder's calendar and a menacing steel filing cabinet. The picture represented an industrious mother mending a pair of trousers for a depressed small boy, who sat in his shirt-tails on a table looking on. Other members of the family, who all appeared to be shattered by the impropriety of the business, sat or stood about with hang-dog expressions. Miles whistled derisively through his teeth at them. Now the door marked "Private" opened, and he was bowed into the inner office, this time with apologies and obsequious smiles by the clerk. But he forgot her at once, and turned his full attention to the man behind the desk. Miles rather liked Mr. Byrne. He was small, and he looked meek and somehow lopsided, but from time to time he revealed by a remark that he had an agile little soul springing about inside him. He examined Miles from head to foot with an interest which he made no attempt to conceal. At last he said, "Not much family resemblance." "Indeed?" Miles raised his bushy white eyebrows in surprise. "We pride ourselves in our family likenesses. The de Cogans have an insatiable family pride." "I am well aware of that," said Mr. Byrne, in a depressed tone. "I acted as agent for your cousin almost all my life." "Tell me about him," said Miles. "I barely knew of his existence. I never met him. What did he look like?" Mr. Byrne opened a folder on his desk. "As it happens, I have a photograph of him here. It is an enlargement of a passport photograph and a bit blurred, but you may take it that he looked like that." Miles studied.